My microphone's not wanting to stay in the spot I want it to stay. All right, I should probably throw up that. And I realized, find a little twitchy movies. All right. There's one problem. Corey's going to need the same one for the video.
Oh, it's just
so we can really be like
you start the thing and then put it away.
Oh, okay. Then I get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the ElseNerds, a production of Galactic Netcasts. Fucking hell. I even looked and I saw a network. I don't know why. Hello and welcome to ElseNerds, a production of Galactic Networks. I'm Gregor Sprague.
And I'm Corey Scott.
For all info on this show and other show... For all info on this show, including show notes and subscription links, go to ElseNerds.com. And for other Galactic Network programs, go to gncasts.com.
On ElseNerds, we might get a little bit racy, and we might race to the end of a plot, and you might find out things that you don't know yet and don't want to. So be aware. We'll spoil things, and we'll say bad words.
Like watching the live video, you would have seen me do, because I fucked up the intro twice. But yeah, so...
At least he didn't say what help. Welcome to What Else Is On.
I need to do... See, that's the problem. I need to do that, but I just don't. I don't know why. It's always with Galactic Netcasts and Network.
That's a recent change, though. I feel like it's almost a throwback. It's almost like, oh, it's a little retro to say Galactic Netcasts.
It'd be like Dave going, "Oh, you're fine. You can keep calling it that." I'm like, "No, you said it's the network.
It's a podcast network. You probably never heard of it."
Yeah. Sweet. So I really got how have things been with you? Because
you're having a tough time getting it together back in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, it's weird. Because I was trying to think, is there anything that happened this week in the world of retail and selling phones? And the answer to that's not really.
That's good.
Yeah, except for I had my first asshole customer today. Well, not really customer because it's Target and their guests, but he was looking at the iPhone, and I'm like, "So you want a new iPhone? You looking at the new iPhone? Are you interested in it?" He's like, "I'm just looking," and I'm like, "Well, what phone do you got right now?" Trying to strike up conversation. He's like, "Oh, I'm good," and then he said it third. I'm like, I want to be like, "Fuck you," but I didn't because then he would complain.
Some guy in aisle 7 just said "fuck you" to me. He was an employee. Do you have a problem with that? No, I don't.
No, because I was an asshole.
I've never wanted to shop here more. By the way, can you sign me up for a red card? Yeah, but I had a rather full weekend of jamming in a couple of pod episodes. We had some guests on at the last minute that signed up to be on the episode with us for Karate Tortoise, which is a very funny sort of new series of shorts that are hopefully going to be coming out if they get their funding. If you go to karatetortoise.com, you can check out Mike's work. It is undescribable and awesome. Beyond that, it was also my father's 70th birthday. And so I called him up and we chatted for a little bit and then argued politics, as you do with your 70-year-old father with a bad heart on his birthday.
Yeah, I did that with one of the coworkers. She works in Target proper, and I'm like, we were just sitting there talking and stuff, and she goes, "I'm voting Trump." I'm like, wait, what? Wait, huh? You're so young. Why are you such a dumbass already? I literally didn't say that. I'm like, really, Trump? And I even used John Oliver's analogy of, you go with the scandals. You go with all the scandals that the Trump campaign loves to bring up with Hillary. And it's like it's like a raisin in a cookie. And then you look at all of Trump's, and I named off the embezzling money from the Trump Foundation, the charitable campaign that he had. for buying the painting, and she's just looking like, so I'm like, that's illegal.
So there's that's the thing, is the level of so what to one person versus the, oh my god, you're the worst fucking human in existence ever, to the other person. It's just you decide who you want, and I don't have a problem. You know, obviously there are a lot of good people who believe that this is the right direction to go in, and I'm not going to say that they're bad people just because of this. It's kind of the nice thing about being an American, is you get to make the choice. It sucks that they're the only two choices that we have, that we're stuck in a two-party system that seems really outdated by this point, and maybe should have never been this situation in the first place. But I get it. So it's not like arguing with my dad. It's my dad. I love my dad. I know my dad's a great person. Certainly one of the people that I model myself after. There are just things that we have different views on, and I think that that's okay.
Yeah,
even if he's wrong.
It's one of those that I go, like, with a lot of these, I never initiate politics stuff. It's always the other person, because I don't have the traditional views of a lot of the people I hang out with. Like with the last one, I was like, if they would have said who you voting for, I'm like, well, first I'm like, well, it's my right to keep it private, but then I'm like, I'm voting Obama or whatever. I'm voting third party. And it's like, and it's usually after they're going, they mentioned Trump. I'm like, well, you look at both, and I'll ram on him. I'm like, but don't think I'm a Hillary supporter, because I'm not. I'm voting third party and all that. And so they're probably going, oh, you're probably gonna vote for the guy who doesn't know where Aleppo's at. And I'm like, and to that, to be like, be honest, you didn't know what Aleppo was or where it was before that question either.
I sure as hell didn't. You know, and
yeah,
but I'm also not running for the president, so it's sort of it's a false problem and a false equivalency. I'd rather somebody tell me that they don't know something and ask for assistance than assume they know everything and just not give a fuck. But that's just me, and let's move on.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Because Beat posted in here about, and we just lost 70% of our audience. I looked down and
are we in fractions
we have
now?
Yeah, it's like Brandon, I think, is half paying attention. Like, I think he pops in and out, and like Brandon Raymond does. And then I saw another Ashley Gagnon, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name,
Hi,
in the chat. And I'm like, all right, but it still only shows one person hopping on, so it's like it's reminding me of like the old BBS systems. Like Brandon pops on, text, sends a message, he gets off, she pops on, replies to sort of deal. It's funny watching the counter that you don't ever see, since you don't host the hangout. Just like 1 2 1 2 1 0 2 sort of thing. But let's get into news.
It's like a drunk version of binary.
Yeah. And sometimes we get 3. So the first bit of news is that Steve Orlando and Ivan Reis are assembling a new Justice League of America lineup, and this is a New York City Comic-Con thing, which I thought that wasn't until this weekend. But
yeah,
Comics
this
Alliance,
is sort of the precursor going into it, is that we'll see the official announcement those days, but we're getting some of the leaks ahead of time. It's kind of like how we know all the specs for the Pixel phones that are being announced tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. One of my coworkers really excited for that, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that's actually awesome. Like, because that means there's going to be, well, one, they're not calling it the Nexus anymore. Like, I'd like the name Nexus, but it all just seems like confusing. Like, oh, you got a Nexus phone? Yeah, which one do you got? Sorry, I'm looking at the chat, and it's distracting me a little bit because Brandon's upset you didn't say hi to him, Corey. And then
Yeah, he
Ashley
knows what he
goes,
did.
you got a yo. But anyways, and I will say hi to everyone. So they've announced a few of their people. I don't think they've announced this isn't the full lineup, but the first person is the Ray. Now, his real name is Ray Terrell. I know nothing of him.
All right, so what I remember of the Ray is way back in the 90s, there was the reintroduction of the character, the Ray. Now, the Ray had started out as part of the Freedom Fighters, going back to the Uncle Sam stuff.
Okay, real quick though, this is a Ben DC whole time, not brought in from Milestone or brought in from
Milestone or Vertigo or anything like that. The Ray was always a superhero character. Okay. I don't remember the Freedom Fighters were actually from a different company that got acquired, kind of like the Fawcett Comics for Captain Marvel and some other things got acquired by DC, where all the Charleston characters became what was essentially the basis for the Watchmen, but Blue Beetle and Peacemaker, Captain Atom, all of those were from other companies that got acquired. I don't remember if the Ray is something similar to that, but there was a character that was a modern version of the Ray that came out during Zero Hour in the 90s. So he was a younger character that was kind of an update to a golden age to being a modern age version. I don't know if this is the same character or not. I can't remember the Ray's real name. It's always weird that your superhero name is also your first name, because that's not like a giveaway. It's like, Ray. I think I know a guy named Ray who looks very similar to you. But
it's like you calling yourself the Core.
Shut up. You're not supposed to tell anybody about that.
Oh, sorry.
I'm never going to let you in the Core Cave now. So the Ray has light powers. Basically, he manipulates light, can, I think, turn into light, uses it to fly, shoot beams, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And right now, with looking at the lineup, the next person is Vixen, the who I want to say there's only one Vixen, but I could be wrong because comics and there's always multiple.
In the comics, there was one Vixen. In this season of Legends of Tomorrow, they're introducing another Vixen.
Yeah. So
they're not using the actress or the character even that was utilized in last season's guest spot on Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
It also had the cartoon shorts on the CWC. Yeah. In fact, if you look at this list as we go along, you'll find that all of these characters seem to have something to do with the CW shows, including, I think, the Ray has a cartoon coming out on CW Seed.
Yeah, they mentioned that he has his and like the Ray has started her own, so he will be getting a CW season or a CW Seed animated series. The next person is the Atom, and it's not the Ray Palmer Atom, it's the Ryan Choi Atom.
Yeah, Ryan Choi. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is with him, and then the last one is Killer Frost that they've announced. This seems like this is DC's answer to the all new, all different Avengers.
Maybe a little bit.
It's a lot.
Now, Ryan Choi, when they did the New 52, Ryan Choi's Atom was supposed to come along at some point to be a member of the Justice League when they went past the initial 7. But for some reason, it didn't happen. They introduced the female Atom counterpart that was part of Forever Evil, who came over from Earth 3 and was in a relationship with, I think, was it Deathstorm or Johnny Quick or one of those guys. So she was on the team for a little bit and then betrayed the whole team because she was from the alternate world where all the good guys were evil and all the evil guys were good. So we've been waiting for Ryan Choi to show up. Ryan Choi, before the New 52, had been the Atom for a while. I think Gail Simone wrote the series, and it was pretty good. And then DC unceremoniously had Deathstroke murder him and shove him in a little matchbox with the sword through his chest for no reason. So they spent all this time establishing this character, making the new Atom, going off the fact that he is a Asian American to give some sense of diversity, and then they just right out the window with it, and did it to make Deathstroke seem cooler when it was completely unnecessary, and it was just it was a shit move on their part. So they're bringing him back. His current book, he teams up with Ray Palmer. Ray Palmer is kind of like the mentor to him, and lot of ways they're doing the same thing with Jaime Reyes and the original, not the original, but the one that most people know, Blue Beetles of Ted Cord. So,
Ted Cord.
But if you look at this, again, Ryan Choi is wearing what is an armor version of Adam's costume, very similar to the TV show version, which is not anything that's been done in the comics before.
So I don't remember reading much on since the DC Rebirth #1 with him. So is that coming up later?
I think it's one of the titles that's supposed to be coming out still. I think it was established in Rebirth #1, and he's going to be going to look for Ray Palmer and the other universes, the microverse or whatever. But it may lead into some of the things that's going on with how we're going to go spoilers here. How Tim Drake
I got it.
version of Robin.
There we go. Spoilers.
The Tim Drake version of Robin recently was just killed in one of the Batman books, but then we find out in that issue, which I think was classy, that he's not actually dead, that he's been captured by this Mr. Oz person. So there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that some people have assumed it introduces the Watchmen characters to this universe. It's suspected that this character is going to be looking for Ray Palmer, and part of that is going to be the storyline that deals with these characters who are getting essentially pulled out of reality by this Mr. Oz.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I don't expect the Killer Frost in here to be the Earth 2 version of the character from the Flash show. I think that this is just Killer Frost proper.
This is Killer Frost proper. From what they said in here, she's just gotten off of, or she's just done her sentence and is ready to leave the Suicide Squad. She just has to get past Amanda Waller.
Yeah, and I don't know why Amanda Waller would actually let her go, or why the Justice League would want somebody who's a known murderer to be on their team. But we're going to see, this is going to spin out of the events going on with the Suicide Squad Justice League crossover, and that's what's going to bring up this other team. So we'll have to see. But the last couple of years, there's been several tries at having a second Justice League book or a second Justice League team. There was Justice League Dark, which disappeared very quickly. Mm-hmm. There was Justice League of America that came out that had, or was it Justice League of America or something else, where it had Hawkman and Animal Man and several other ones, Stargirl.
That was Justice League United. It was going to be Justice League Canada,
right?
But then they changed the name.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know. I mean, really, when it comes to the Justice League, I don't know that they're ready to spread past the 7 major characters, and those characters, even those kind of flip sometimes, because which Green Lantern do you have at that moment? Which speedster do you have? If it's the Flash, or is it a different version of the Flash, or Kid Flash or something? Is it Cyborg versus Martian Manhunter, where classically it should be Martian Manhunter as part of the group? So to do another book that features completely different characters is always kind of like, well, this is the second rate. So this is not the main Justice League. So why do I care about them? Unless you're a big fan of one of these characters, it's unlikely that you're going to be looking at this at the same level of a Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern team. At the same time, sometimes that means you can do more stuff with it. I think that if you've got these characters, you can say, oh, well, 4 issues in, and we wound up killing Killer Frost, or we wind up maiming the Ray, because we don't have an expectation. It's not like we're worried about the Ray in his own other 4 books like we are Superman or Batman. We can do things with them that we couldn't do with the other ones. We can explore a different relationship with them that we can with the others. It's almost a clean slate. And if you look at what Marvel's done with the Avengers team hasn't been like the headlining characters of Marvel for a long time. Or there's just so many characters and the team keeps breaking up and reforming, or there's Secret, or disgusting Avengers
Uncanny.
or bad guy Avengers or likes it up the butt Avengers, whatever you I think that in all cases, it's like they've just stretched what Avenger means so far out that it's lost all definition. As long as they don't do that with Justice League, then I think that it stands that it could still be pretty good. The other thing on this is that it's one guy who's sort of the lead writer for it, Steve Orlando. He's co-writing on some of the books with other people to keep cohesion and to not get overwhelmed. And Ivan Rice is obviously a very good artist taking the artwork on this. If you go from the team of those creators, then it should at least be interesting. And if it's going to be an every 2 weeks book, once it grabs your attention, if it just keeps it long enough that you don't forget in that second week, then it might do okay.
And this is one that this is exactly what I was going to point out, because for the New 52, he wrote Midnighter. He did,
which was very well received. It was amazingly really, because a lot of people you would think would have a problem with the fact that Midnighter is openly gay, but it was just such a badass book that I think people either one didn't care, which is great, or two just overlooked that because he was a badass and they're just like, I just want to see him kick butt and sometimes stare at Dick Grayson's ass.
Yeah, he also wrote the Justice League Darkseid War Shazam #1, but then he is also right now currently writing Supergirl #1 for Supergirl for Rebirth.
Yeah, which is Supergirl. Actually, I think it's another one that's doing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that story right there that they got going on. Very similar to the TV show, but different in enough ways to where people aren't going to be like, "Oh, they're just ripping off the TV show," sort of thing. Yeah. On to the next story, and this is the story that, much like it was announced last week that Adventure Time will end and regular show will end, Archer is going to be ending after 10 seasons. So we got like 3 years.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how I feel about them announcing it now, because it's like, we got 3 years here, people.
But it's nice because it lets everybody who's working on the show know that they're working towards something. Also, when their contracts are up, so it's like, yeah, I'm going to be out of work in 3 years. If anybody wants to hire me, start making offers today.
Oh, you mean Chris Parnell, who is doing the Progressive box commercials.
I didn't really mean the voice talent necessarily, because I think they're all going to be okay. I meant maybe some of the animators and some of the storyboard artists and the people who don't automatically go from job to job as quickly because they're not as well known in the public eye. But when somebody says, hey, all the team from Archer is going to be out of work soon, maybe we have a project where we can kind of steal them up because we know that they do great work. And we can get them ready for this as they're going on. Not like poach, but to say, hey, if you're going to be free, come work for us. And then maybe we don't have to keep not paying animators for Seth Rogen movies.
Yeah, but the thing that I like here, and which is the key, and this is also after Archer won its first Emmy for Outstanding Animated Series, but it doesn't sound like this is FX canceling it. This is Adam Reed saying, I have a distinct endpoint, so it is going to be done at 10 seasons. Actually, it sounded like within the interview that it could have been done, like the plan was 8, 9, and 10 seasons, but they would have been shorter seasons, like, almost to the, let's do it like British style, where there's 6 episodes in a season. But it sounds like we might be getting more because of like he had a brain explosion. He had, and so he's gotten all these things, which are like, sweet, let's get more Archer so we can all enjoy our Danger Zone and phrasing references.
and that might be the other thing too, is you get to a certain point where if it's all references like that you go, okay, we should probably start to bring this down, start dimming the lights a little bit, because maybe we're starting to parody ourselves more than we are telling good stories. which is not. I'm
Wait,
saying
you
what they
mean-
did.
yeah, you're talking about a show that was named ISIS before the terror group ISIS.
Well, I
And
just
then-
know that the season where they closed up ISIS and it was more like Miami
Archer Vice. Yeah,
yeah,
Archer Vice.
that was not the best season. That kind of got me. Like I had just recently been starting to tune in, and that season got me to tune out. And I don't think that was the same for everybody, but yeah, we found out this week that both Adventure Time and regular show are also finishing off their runs. They're planning on ducking out too. So I think that there's something to be said for going out at a strong point versus, just hanging around to keep hanging around as the show's quality keeps deteriorating, as people like it's not must-see TV anymore, and it just becomes like, oh, well, they've gotten some new writers and they're shit compared to the old ones who've gone on to invent new ideas. So fuck this season. I don't even care.
Yeah.
I've definitely gotten like that on a lot of shows.
So I'm going to hit 2 parts. I was laughing at Beat with what he said of he didn't know Hillary was a founding member of Archer or founder of Archer. And,
Hillary Clinton has been animating Archer her entire adult life.
And then Brandon Raymond saying that he didn't that he don't think he's seen the entirety of chat. He is, except for now it's frozen my Chrome, so this is gonna be great. Oh, there we go. And that's because Beat is in our secret producer chat, aka he's in the Hangout. And so that's why I'm referencing the chat, but not you guys. I'm still watching you guys.
And of course,
But,
there is
yeah.
also gncast.com/sign up where you can join the other secret super chat of our Slack channel.
Of the Slack. Yes.
Which I think is the only thing I
so
don't have
the
open on my
third-
screen right now.
I have it open on my screen. It's just behind a window. And then I also have our IRC chat room
Oh,
that
son of
I
a
can
bitch.
go to as well.
Not enough people want to talk to us for that to even be a thing.
Oh, no, I know. It's just,
But we do appreciate the ones who are
I'm
here.
the only one in there. It's me and Suggestion Bot. That's it. And Suggestion Bot doesn't talk back.
Suggestion Bot is like, I suggest you fuck right off.
Yeah.
So story number 3.
Story number 3 is actually one that I love because I love this movie. And it's just great to see that there's such, out of a simple mockumentary, we are getting so much stuff out of it.
What would
The
that
movie I'm talking
mockumentary
about
be?
is What We Do in the Shadows.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, the movie is What We Do in the Shadows. It is directed by Taika Waititi, who is the director of The Hunt for Wilder People, which I want to see, and Thor Ragnarok, which I really want to see, and it was also he wrote it with Jermaine Clement, and also they both starred in it. But see, we already knew of the sequel called We're Wolves, which was about the werewolves in What We Do in the Shadows. But now Empire breaks the news on Paranormal Event Response Unit, which is a new television series that will focus on the original film's easily manipulated police officers Mike and Karen. And it will follow the duo as they try to keep Wellington safe from spooky beasties. And it has been commissioned for 6 30-minute episodes, and it'll be hitting the New Zealand channel and TV NZ2. So I'm excited. I just want to know how I can watch this here in America, or even in Britain or Australia, where I can VPN over to it.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that always the case though? Is like, oh, this thing's coming out somewhere else, and I'm gonna want to see it. You always find a way to see it. It's not like
Yes.
they're really cock blocking you with your internet viewing of these shows or movies. It constantly
But
seems
it's
to
in
pop
New
up.
Zealand. Their internet is run by sheep.
Oh, okay, but New
I mean,
Zealand has
literally.
never sent shows over to America like Xena or Hercules or any number of movies that Sam Raimi has done, or Deathgasm, which is bad as shit. It was so fucking cool. I think
bad at like. Okay.
I think you'll see it. I think it'll happen. I have faith.
No, I do have faith that I will see it, but I love this. I love the fact that we're getting so much stuff out of this, even when I honestly think this is the big rise for Taika Waititi doing more big budget films. So to see, I don't know how involved he's going to be with the paranormal event response unit, but at the same time, I'm excited to see this and then the werewolves and see where else they can go with this world that they have here.
Yeah, and I'm excited because there's something great about that moment when you get what is essentially a small or indie filmmaker, and they just sort of start to break over to the bigger budget films and the more mainstream stuff. So they still have that ideal of what they want to do and being able to control a movie to tell a good story. And they haven't been totally jaded, but here's your $1 billion blockbuster check that you have to get. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, but to me, it's still about the characters. It's still about the individual plot and having something coherent and enjoyable for people to watch, not just the same exploding cars 6 times over, using the same footage over and over and over again. I think we know who I'm talking about. That is obviously Martin Scorsese. So I think that it's fun, and it was certainly a interesting world to see happen in What We Do in the Shadows. To have these characters get to kind of bounce out. He is being listed as a writer on the series, so yeah, he'll have some hand in it. But he did the Team Thor short.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't even realize the connection at that point in time. But when you watch the Team Thor short, it feels very much reminiscent of what we had already seen from this. So yeah, good on him. Good on him that he's. How did Ricky Rackman put it? Keep one foot in the gutter, one fist in the gold, and I think that that's where he's at right now.
Yeah. So that is it for the news. All right, we are back, and it is time for nerding out. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna do both mine because Corey's ties in with mine, because you can do Corey's nerding out with my nerding outs. So the first one is the pilot episode for Weird World. Now, did you get to see Weird World or not Weird World, Westworld?
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't even heard of Weird World as a show. I do know of the Weird World. Isn't it a Marvel comic?
Yeah, it was a Marvel comic. Last done with Secret Wars 2. About the domain of the same name. But what I meant to say was Westworld. The new J.J. Abrams produced, written and directed, at least the pilot, was by Jonathan Nolan, who I think is also directing the finale for the first season. Sci-fi reimagining of the, what was it, 1967 movie, written and directed by Michael Crichton.
Yeah, it was. A lot of people are saying that it was Jurassic Park before there was Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to see Yul Brynner as a T-Rex, even though obviously Yul Brynner is no longer with us, and neither are the T-Rexes. Yeah. Conspiracy!
Yeah, so Westworld, actually both of mine have this nice connection with them as well. But Westworld, you follow this park, a lot like Jurassic Park, except for dinosaurs that are terrorizing the park. It is robots that are what they call the hosts in the show. They're the people. They're essentially, when you go to Disney World and you see the actor or actress that's in the Buzz Lightyear or Woody or whoever costume, that's them. Just replace them with robots. And you get, And I'm also only in the first episode, so Beat's giving me spoilers for where things are going to go. I've only seen the pilot, and I haven't seen the original movie with Westworld or the sequel Future World. So I know nothing about this other than people were like, "This is going to be really great," and I was sitting there watching, like, "This is supposed to be sci-fi, right?" Until it wasn't until they get, I'm like, "Oh, that's how it's sci-fi. I get it now." Um, but I enjoy the show. I like the fact that I don't know where it's going, and where I can easily ignore everyone who's like, "Oh, well, they did it better in the book or the movie, or they did it better in the past." I can just ignore those people and enjoy Evan Rachel Wood and um James Marsden and Ed Harris and all these other people that I recognize from all these other things. Shannon Woodward from Raising Hope is in there,
Oh, that's
and
nice.
I love this show. Yeah, Shannon Woodward plays one of the engineers in there, and it's a really cool project that it's got going. And Anthony Hopkins, yes, I cannot forget Anthony fucking Hopkins. And it's really cool. The thing I loved the most out of this was the music. They have these old Western style versions of popular songs, like more, but like 80s 90s popular. So Paint It Black was done in like that old Western piano style, and I cannot think of what the other one was,
Which is not
before it.
technically much older than anybody in the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. And then what was, I can't think what the first song was. But I recognized that right away. I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's cool to see these songs redone. Yeah, Black Hole Sun, that's what it was. From Soundgarden. And I'm sitting there going, wait, is that like, because Black Hole Sun was first, and I'm like, is that? And I'm sitting there in my head, I'm singing along with it. I'm like, yes, this is my.
Am I wrong
right
in
here.
thinking that there was a version of Black Hole Sun done by Johnny Cash shortly before he passed away? He did an album that was a whole bunch of covers of. I know he did Rusty Cage, but
He did Hurt.
he did Hurt as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
he did a cover
he might
of
have
a lot of
he
different
might have
songs that were
because
popular at the time.
he did a lot of the with his last anthology with the like the American series where American 4 featured Hurt. It was, yeah, he very well could have. And if he did, I want to hear that version right now. Like, let's pause the show and I just want to listen to that. Oh, I was like, if Beat threw it up right there, I would have flipped out. Be like, wait, really? How the fuck does he know that?
Oh no, there was definitely a Paul Anka version. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's funny when you think about this is Crichton. So now the whole thing is they're in a park where these robots are around. So it's kind of like Disneyland when you go to see the presidents talking, or if you go on any of the rides. And then there's that line in Jurassic Park by Jeff Goldblum's character where he says, yeah, but if the Pirates of the Caribbean ride breaks down, the pirates don't eat the park goers. And that's kind of what is the conceit of Westworld. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. The other thing, though, is that the last Western series, this is not technically a Western, but it's got a lot of HBO Western themes and looks that HBO did finish abruptly and didn't get to continue. Now, they keep talking about bringing Deadwood back, and that would be fantastic, but Westerns are kind of a hard sell already. We'll have to see. I don't even know how the Magnificent Seven is doing. Has that come out? Because I know people who've seen it.
Yeah, it's out. I think it did pretty good. I don't remember. I don't have exact numbers. But no,
but it takes
I honestly
pretty huge stellar cast to make that happen at this point.
Yeah. Beat is saying that it's out and it was #1. Yeah. And honestly, I love if there are people who don't like the Westworld thing, whatever, please write us mail at ElseNerds.com. Tell us why. Tell me why I'm an idiot for liking this show. I want to know what the naysayers have to say. The other show I'm going to get on is, and I know all the episodes are out. Don't care. I'm going to take my time and watch them. Oh, sweet Christmas, just let me take my time and watch this show. And that is Luke Cage. The through line between my two shows is the music. I love the music. And music is something I hit on first with shows or movies, but I love this music on for Luke Cage. You have I'm still trying to figure out where this takes place in the Marvel Netflix timeline. Like right now my thinking is it takes place after season 1 of Netflix of
Jessica Jones.
Daredevil, but before Jessica Jones. Yeah, it's between Jessica Jones and the first season of Daredevil. Only because of the Easter eggs that they give so far have been Daredevil, or the references that they made of in the past are more of Daredevil. There's a line that I love from this one character who goes, because this all takes place in Harlem. He goes, "Man, I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen where it's safer." And all that. And I'm like, you have Daredevil beating the shit out of bad people. You have Punisher killing everyone. Like, how much safer is it there than it is where you're at right now, man? And then they mentioned Wilson Fisk. So those are so far, and this is the first 2 episodes, so I'm not getting too spoilery with it. But I like this show. It probably won't take me as long, like a long time to get through the 13 episodes. Because like actually probably Thursday I'll watch more when I'm on, when I have the day off and I'm over doing laundry. But and I love the cinematics, the opening cinematics for all the Marvel Netflix shows has been pretty cool. It's all done through it's all done like the buildings and stuff of Harlem, and you see it all on Luke Cage's body as he's like doing this wind up to throw, and then you end with him punching the screen showing the Luke Cage logo. I'm like, that is awesome. The acting is great. Misty Knight is so cool in here. Cottonmouth is right now on with me, and again, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, on par with a villain like Kingpin, like how Wilson Fisk was in Daredevil. I'm enjoying everything in here, and it's really cool, and I cannot wait for you to watch it.
One of the things with the Marvel Netflix shows is that they've really had the opportunity to make incredibly compelling villains, which the films have been challenged on. I mean, we've got a couple of villains that have happened in the movie so far that have been seen as successful, but even things like the biggest of the big bads that we're just getting little teasers of so far with Thanos, there's not a lot there. Most of the villains are either variations of the hero and their powers, or they're there and then they're gone. They're just almost tossaways. Yeah. So it's nice that the shows get to develop the villains at the same pace that they're developing the heroes. And it's nicer still when the villain gets to continue on and get further use down the road. Like it doesn't just finish in one season and then they're gone. Like the Kingpin got to be used and utilized not only for Daredevil, but for Punisher in the second season of Daredevil. I think that is pretty spectacular. And as far as Luke Cage goes, man, I want him to have that kind of thing, because Luke Cage has been around for a long time. Luke Cage is a character that means something to a lot of people because he stands out. He was different. He was very different from a lot of other comics. And unfortunately, for a while, written in a kind of I can't even say cliche manner. It was more of a very stereotyped manner, but has been developed beyond that. Other writers have come in who appreciated the character a lot and said, well, I don't really think that he's getting his due right now. I want to utilize him in the way that I think he should be utilized. A lot of people have been fans of Luke Cage, and it's great to see this happen, and it's great to see it realistically portrayed. I've seen stories. I haven't seen anybody actually do this, but I've seen stories of the complaints of white people that the show is too black. And I'm like, do you understand what show you're watching? The show is focused so much on black characters that there's just no white characters in the show at all, or not enough white characters. And I'm just like, you should probably stop watching Marvel anything, because you have no understanding of what these characters are fighting for.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a hard time going forward when we get things like the Black Panther, or from what we've seen, a lot of the cast in the new Spider-Man movie. So you've sort of set yourself up for failure at this point. Time to back down, go back to your hole.
That honestly just sounds like social justice warriors taking it a little too far.
I know. I think it's the wrong. I think it's the opposite. It's the same note, just from the other side. But certainly there's been the same thing said of like, there's not enough Asian actors in, or they should have made Iron Fist Asian. And I could see the case for doing that, but the fact that they didn't, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So this is a show about Luke Cage, and this show, from everything I've seen, looks like it's the right show about Luke Cage, and I'm very excited to watch it. I didn't have the chance to catch either that. I didn't know that Westworld was starting this weekend, because that was another thing I was looking forward to, but my weekend was just too full up to be able to sit down and do this. But I probably would have hurt myself by trying to watch all 13 episodes in a sitting while trying to work and stuff to do podcasts, and then waking up to go into work. So I will try to savor this more as I get to it, but I expect it's still going to go pretty fast. And at some point, I'm going to get to do a rewatch of all these seasons and just kind of blow through them again and get to see the things that I missed, or get to revisit things, certain characters that probably aren't coming back. So that should be fun too.
Yes. So Corey, you're on the roll here with your app reviews, huh?
There are certain things that are easier to get to, and this I've talked a little bit before. It doesn't seem to be the problem right now, but one thing I've always said is, when you have things like Netflix or Amazon Prime streaming or Hulu, and then all your cable channels and HBO Go and Cinemax Go and Showtime, whatever, it gets to be too difficult to decide what to watch. It gets to be a chore just to make that decision, just to cut it down and say, all right, there's 50 billion things. What's the one thing I'm going to decide on? And then I've gone through the Netflix menu for 3 hours and it's time for bed. I barely have the instinct to start something, and it's usually a rerun of Good Eats, which is fine because that's a nice thing to sleep to. So I got kind of excited the other day. I don't know where this popped up on my feed, but something or another talked about MightyTV. And MightyTV is an app for MightyTV Inc. It's in the Google Play Store. I would assume that they have an iTunes version. And what it is basically, it asks you what services that you use. So it includes Hulu, it includes Amazon, HBO Now, Crackle, Showtime, Cinemax, Netflix, and more. And it'll probably add things as it goes along.
Cool.
Yeah. And what it does is it gives you examples of things that you can watch on those services once you've selected which ones you have, and you can give them I've watched this and I like it. You can hard press it and keep it so that you show that you love it, or you can swipe left like you would on Tinder or Grindr, if that's your thing, and just say, no, this is not something that I either watched and enjoyed or have any interest in at all. And it takes that to be able to.
I want to mention one thing here.
Yeah.
So I want to mention this. because I don't know if you noticed it with yours, but when you mentioned the services, like I downloaded it to my tablet and I have launched the account right now. I'm creating it. It auto populated Netflix and Crackle because I have those apps on the tablet.
Right.
That is cool.
Yeah, I mean it's very smart. It's the right kind of thing because in Netflix goes and it does suggestions based off of stuff that you've watched on Netflix. Now, it kind of doesn't work for me because my wife doesn't sign out of my account to go into her account. I mean, it's a shared account, but we each have our own user ID. She doesn't sign out of mine to go into hers, and then she watches all their goddamn crappy horror movies, which is suitable to me because I have to watch those usually anyways. But that's not based off of what I'm into. So Netflix keeps saying, here's where somebody gets stabbed in the head 30 times. Okay, well, maybe I'd like a romantic comedy instead of that right now, instead of the family animated murder box that you got. But this is something that transcends, what just one service. And that's something that I've been looking for, is pick up the things that I like, and it gives you little charts based off of what you've done. So it'll say, oh, by all the things that you liked, you seem to like things with these actors and actresses in it, or you seem to like things with these themes, these directors, and it picks up on it and does a better algorithm based off of that. Now, here's one thing that I wish it did, and I wish Netflix did, and a lot of these other services, which is sometimes it recommends a show, or it says, oh, do you like Heroes? And it's like, I loved Heroes for one season only, and then it went to pot, and I never want to see any of that again. I loved How I Met Your Mother for the first couple of seasons, and then fuck that show. Fuck it sideways. But it doesn't get as distinctive as that. So it's either you like the show or you didn't like the show. Well, no, I liked it until it sucked. And that is something that I think is still missing from all of these rating systems. But I do like having something that says, okay, based off all the stuff you watched, here are things that you can watch right now in one of your services, and it'll kind of lead you to which one to go watch it on. And that's what I think is missing. I'd love to see this technology get picked up by Roku, because Roku is a box that is, you know, it stands apart from all the different services, so it doesn't care if you're using Amazon or Netflix or whatever. So if Roku is like, hey, I can get the MightyTV stuff, import this, and then when you say you want to watch one of these movies, I just lead you to the movie. That's great. I think that would be impeccable. But for a start, for the beginning of this, I think this is a great jumping off point, and I'm kind of curious to see who acquires it, because I think if Apple acquires it, it's probably not going to do anything. But if it goes to a third party's company like Roku, even Google, I don't think Google gives a shit if you watch stuff on Amazon Prime. They'll just use it and say, okay, well, Amazon Prime has stuff that maybe we should be getting. We should try to get more of that stuff over to our content. Netflix, of course, isn't going to go back and forth with it. But I think that, yeah, this is what I need. This is exactly what I need, so that I'm not looking so constantly. It's like something just popped up. It's like, hey, based off of all the shit you're watching right now, you should go check out this one thing. Right on. I'll go check out that one thing if I'm not having to review 3 movies over the weekend again.
Yeah,
there's also a social component to this. There is the ability to add friends and compare stuff through that. Since I just launched this the other day, I just sent an email to Gregor through his Gmail account, so that maybe they'll hook up from there. Anybody else who joins up with this, though, my email is captaintemerity@gmail.com. I probably shouldn't have said that, but whatever. You can look for me. Yeah, you can look for me in the app if you decide to download it.
Yeah, while you were doing the review, I was sitting there swiping through, and I'm like, I love a lot of things.
Yeah,
like because
it's hard to love.
It's like Dark Knight. Oh, I love that. It is like, oh, I haven't seen that, so I'll skip it and stuff like that. And then there's like X-Men: Days of Futures Past. Swipe left.
Yeah,
it's weird because it's almost a little too much like Tinder for me.
It is that, and it's still pretty new. Sometimes it's a little slow on like when it comes up with the next suggestion, or if you swiped right and you meant to swipe left, or you didn't mean to swipe either one, you wanted to swipe up, so you haven't seen it yet. You can hit undo, but it takes it a couple of seconds for it to bring that one back. So it's still pretty early in its incarnation. It will take some time for it to get better, but the more people using it, the more importance that it has, the more value it has, the better it should get. And so far, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, right now the one thing I'm not liking is the email thing is probably going to be a problem, like with the whole doing an email. But
yeah,
I don't know, I'll figure that out later.
It should be able to hook up through social networks or other things instead. I'm not really too worried about it.
No, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it looks like I compared it earlier to Get Go or Get Glue or Miso. That came out about 5-6 years ago now. And it seems like that, but there's no but like with Tinder. Sort of
a
thing.
lot
Like
of
it seems like it's
about check in when you're watching a show that was supposed to.
Yeah, it was very much like Foursquare at the time.
It's like actually going to the hashtag that they show on Big Brother and going, oh well, I'm gonna go join the conversation about this stupid hashtag about
furs.
Right, hashtag Julie's dress. Whatever. Like none of that really made a difference. If I want to talk about Big Brother, I'm just gonna go to Big Brother. That's where everybody will be. No one's talking about this one stupid hashtag about Camo Commando or whatever. No one gives a shit about that. So this isn't a false like create a social.
They'd have to do all the hashtags and they wouldn't have a message. Sorry,
right?
I had to get that out.
This is actually doing you a service, not just doing the networks and their shows a service.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so that is Mighty. You can find it on both the Android and app stores. And we are back, and this is our big discussion. And the big discussion is a news story. And this is something that I saw today when I was supposed to be selling phones to all of no one who was in my store at the time, or at least over in the electronics section. And this is the news that Benedict Cumberbatch let it slip that that Sherlock could be coming to an end pretty soon. Now, thankfully, he didn't say series 4. He didn't say the next series, which they wrapped filming not too long ago will be the last. But he said he's thinking maybe season or series 5 might be where they take a break for a little while. And it's definitely a bittersweet thing for me right now, because you look at this show, it's taken off so big, and you get people like me who think it's overrated, and then you get people like me who are just disappointed in the fans because they are ruining, in my opinion, they're ruining the show by trying to go on set and get it, and they disrupt filming for the show that they love. So, and that's again another bittersweet thing there. But it says that right now that they've said that Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat have the show Sherlock plotted out through series 5 or season 5. But I don't know. I think this is just the fact that Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch are so popular right now.
Yeah, but it's I mean, obviously them being popular means that they're not available at any instant moment when Gatiss and Moffat get together and like, hey, we finally wrote a fucking script for the next 2-hour movie of Sherlock, so we should get those guys in here. Well, I think they both have jobs at the moment. They might not even be in the country today. We can't just like say now's the time, seize the day. we have to actually plan this, and it hasn't. I'm not going to complain too much about it, but it hasn't helped things that the seasons have been so far between. These giant gaps in between season 2 and 3 and season 3 and now 4, because while it stays like the people who are fans are going to stay fans, the people who are into it are going to go and find it when it comes out. But at the same time, these guys aren't getting any younger. It's not like it's getting easier to make these things. It's a special occasion thing, which I think is great. And I'd much rather have, we were already talking about this earlier, much rather have show knows when to stop, knows to the point where it's getting to, and just like does that and finishes strong. It also is nice to have short seasons so that they seem concise, and it's like it's a special occasion of like, oh, it's like when you were a kid, or when I was a kid, I don't know, but when I was a kid, the holiday specials only happen around Christmas time, and usually in a very short window. It wasn't like they started playing Christmas music at the end of September like they do now, because they're fucked. But I mean, when the Rankin Bass shit started showing up, and you saw Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus Comes to Town, or even things like the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special and the Christmas special, all of those things, it was a real big deal to have that pop up. Even if it was every year, it was like, this is the time that I get to see this. This is awesome. I've been looking forward to this, or I didn't even know how much I was looking forward to it until it came around again.
Yep.
And it's sort of like that with Sherlock. It feels important when you get a new season that pops up. I didn't get to see the special that they did, the one after season 3, until much later, because when it showed up on TV, for some reason it didn't record on my DVR. I was pissed, but I didn't go looking for it because I knew eventually it'll wind up on Netflix or something. And I just saw it, I think like last month, I finally sat down and watched it. And then I watched all behind the scenes stuff from it. And it was really cool to get back to it and to see it again, and kind of like you fall in love with the characters all over again. You get excited because of where they left things off and where it picks up. But then it goes away. And out of sight, sort of out of mind, until these little stories leak out. It's like, oh, season 4 is finally coming around after 2 years. Hope you're still alive. And then like you get season 4, you rip through it in a couple of hours, and then it's gone again. And yeah, there's the rewatch aspect. There's the ability to like, hey, we're gonna go and we're gonna watch. We're just gonna shit in the fucking living room in a pile and watch Sherlock all day. That's great. But you know, that's not the same thing as when there's actually new episodes of it. So
yeah,
I can't imagine it's easy to make these things happen. The production team, the writers, the directors, everybody all at once to get them all together to do this. And everybody's got other stuff that they're doing. I mean, Moffat says he's finishing up on Doctor Who, thank God. And I would imagine that he might have something.
Class as well.
Yeah, he's probably got other stuff in the works that he's going to want to do too. That plus, there's only so much of the original stories that you can.
Can he just bring back coupling? That's all I'm asking. Can he bring back coupling?
Oh, coupling was really good. Yeah, I don't know, but any extra Sherlock we get, I expect is still going to be great to have. Yeah. You know, and is going to be a far cry better than Elementary. So sure.
Yeah, and it's also the very British thing, in my opinion, of ending a show where a lot of people would consider it early. Whether that be because it didn't get the ratings, or in the case of like the IT crowd, Graham Linehan just sort of went like, I've told the story I want to tell. And you know, and like that, you get that with, you know, like Peep Show, they recently did it. Not a big fan of the ending, but you know, whatever. But no, it's a cool thing to have happen. But yeah, and so also just a side note, Doctor Strange arrives in theaters on November 4th. The season 4 of Sherlock is expected to release sometime next year. And also you can catch Martin Freeman in the Crackle Show Startup, which I saw the first episode of. It's not that bad, but it's not what I was expecting right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
And
feel
so, yeah.
bad about, well, Sherlock's time has come too soon. Not like in actual time sense, but in too soon of like we only got a few episodes. 16, 17 episodes of Sherlock sure as hell beats 80 to 90 episodes of The King of Queens. So just suck on that a little bit.
And also remember that each episode is an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
So I mean, essentially, it's like doing 17 movies here. So yeah. How many movies
because we've already had the death and essentially the rebirth of Sherlock. We've already had some very final moments of characters that it was like, really, they already took out that guy? That seems a little soon. So do you think that the show ends with the death of Sherlock? Do you think the show ends with the death of Watson? Or do they just leave it open for just in case? Like, yeah, we said it's going to end with season 5 and that's it, but maybe somewhere down the road we have a movie. Maybe we have Sherlock in 10 years, just because it seems like something fun to do. Because killing him and bringing him back again seems very anticlimactic at that point.
I think they do. I don't think they kill off Sherlock. Or if they do, there would be ways where they could still write it out. Like if they wanted to come back and do another special or do a movie or something like that. But I think they leave it open with them retiring or something. And then saying we're done, and they go off into the sunset, and to steal a joke from the At Midnight Twitter account, they kiss.
that would be absolutely lovely. I'm just worried that it'll be something like Mycroft is driving along somewhere and saying, "I'm a leaf on the wind," and then stab.
Oh, that's horrible. But no, yeah. So, you guys got bills to pay, right? I got my Netflix bill coming up here. I think on Friday or so, and I pay those. And now is actually the perfect time to help support us by going to Patreon, mainly because it doesn't go for another month. So you could get all your stuff for November by donating as little as $1 to us as a monthly charge, much like your Netflix bill. If you're like me, you thinking in tens, like $10. Netflix is what, $9.99 right now.
My Netflix bill just jumped up. It was like, hey, you were on that special promo. You ain't no special no more. And it's like, yeah, but what I get out of my Netflix for that $10 it's worth it to me. And hopefully what you get out of Galactic Network, it's worth it to you to drop $1 here or there.
Yeah. And or your Hulu's $7.99. Throw us $1 or $2. That's all we're asking. The other way you can do it, that you can help out, is by going to our affiliate link through gncast.com/support.
Support.
Support, and going through the Amazon affiliate link, because you're already going to be buying the shit on Amazon.
Going into the holiday season, especially right now, is the time that you should be planning your holiday shopping. Right now is the time that you should be putting together wish lists. You should be saying, hey, Mom, I want an Xbox, whatever one they're on now. Or, hey, Mom, I want a butt plug. I think Amazon has those. It's okay. You can get those things. You run it through the affiliate link, and then you copy that onto your list. And so when Mom's shopping for you on the magic shopping list, all these things you're going to unwrap, there's a little percentage is going to go to the Galactic Network. It's going to help us out. It's going to help you out by helping us out because we're going to keep making content for you. And Mom ain't going to know shit. Mom has no fucking clue. And that's the way that should be because that bitch has done enough to ruin your fucking life. She threw away your socks when you just built up a good collection of them. She took all your magazines out from under your mattress. I don't like that any more than you do. So just fucking support us by putting the links in. Take care of us. We take care of you. That's how it's done.
So I think Dave gets this. This is off topic, but it's all anonymous because I know Coverville. They do the on Coverville. He will actually show the he will like highlight something that someone bought on Amazon. So can we please through gncast.com/support just go buy a butt plug and sex toys just so we can get the message from Dave. Thanks, guys.
No, you will say, thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having your friends buy that butt plug with the GNcast affiliate link.
But the other bit
keeps on giving.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it again. Leave us feedback on the show. Anything you want. You want to say, hey, you want to curse us out, whatever it is you want to say. You got a couple ways. Number one, you can go call us and leave us a voicemail at 805-328-3966, or you could email us mail@elsenerds.com. I read all the mail. And for all of our subscription links, you can go to gncasts.com/subscribe. And you can follow us on Facebook under Galactic Netcasts. And you can follow the show on ElseNerds. We are at Galactic Netcasts, the network. And then the producers are at Beatmaster80 and Mr_Fusion. That Gregor. Corey is at Don't Ask Comics. And I guess the last thing to be said is this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you next week.
Or butt plug.
Butt plugs.